Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines this morning. We have finally regulator admits we need clarity. We're going to take a look at it, and the SEC's coming for exchanges. Watch out, crypto. Polysign is in the news. Polysign. Don't forget, a change is going to come, and it ain't just about the crypto exchanges. We're going to prove it to you. It's use case, baby. Bank of China and Ripple is in the news. Ripple buyback continues, but that's not all. We're going to get into that. And technical analysts are back with a vengeance, calling for XRP prices $72, $100, and more and more and more. What are they seeing? We're going to take a look. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on TikTok or YouTube or Twitter or Facebook right there at the top of the screen. Give us a follow. I want to start this morning by showing you my favorite list of tokens. Let's go over this very quickly. Yes, I am holding a little bit of Bitcoin, a little bit of Ethereum, XRP for sure, Cardano, and not as much as I want, but I'm going to get more. I'm going to try to at least. Don't tell Mrs. Backup. Stellar, XLM. We know Bitcoin Cash. Shout out to Roger Ver. Algorand, right? VeChain, Decentraland, Hedera Hashgraph, Theta, Quant, come on in, IOTA, Kava, Gala, XDC, Theta Fuel, Casino Coin, Songbird, and then obviously Flare as well. We're waiting for all of that to unfold. But that's where my list is today, and it grows and it changes. We'll keep an eye on it. I just wanted to share it. Right now, just to look at prices, see where we are here. 23,800 plus for Bitcoin, 1,600 plus for Ethereum, and XRP is at 37 cents. None of what we discuss is financial advice, ladies and gentlemen, just my digital perspectives. Look at this right here, 36 cents on the bottom and 37 cents on the top. We will keep an eye on it. And I do want to remind you right now, PureVPN's having a killer sale right here. Help hide your anonymity when you're online. This is one of the many different layers of protection I use when I'm online to help hide my anonymity, or help hide my identity using anonymity, I should say. 82% off a 27-month plan for $1.99. Link underneath the description. Don't wait. You can grab 5 years for $1.49 right now too. Take a look at this. Hall of Famer Michael Branch, give him a follow. Ripple named among top corporate philanthropists in the Bay Area. It's not surprising to us that they find themselves in this kind of light, right? But I mean, isn't it just so crazy that Ripple, as transparent as they've been, as good of a company as they are, finding themselves being really recognized as top philanthropists in the corporate list in the Bay Area, but yet still being sued by Gary Gensler's SEC. But we finally got a regulator who isn't afraid to say we need clarity. We need clear regulation, and it's Carolyn D. Pham. And ever since she has joined the CFTC, she has been pounding the ground that we do not have clarity and we do need it. And she sits down with none other than former CFTC Commissioner Chris Giancarlo, and they both agree that it is so important, as Carolyn Pham says, that we are rule makers, not rule takers. And Chris Giancarlo in the article highlights exactly what Patrick Hansen says here, basically, is that the EU is years ahead of the US when it comes to crypto regulation. And that has become a growing concern in the United States. Chris Giancarlo goes on to really highlight the fact that the EU markets are much different than the US, and we need to get going. And this is really more evidence of that from Jeremy Hogan here, as he shares here the SEC video really describing what's wrong, he says, with the crypto platforms. And Jeremy Hogan says, well, this should just reinforces what we already know. The SEC's coming for exchanges, and they are. Short video, take a listen.
What are crypto platforms, and what makes them similar or different to other exchanges you might know?
Look, and I'm not sure if that music's copywritten or not, but what I'm going to do is do the quick version here for you, because it's hard to watch him anyway. I got to be honest. He's really talking about the idea that the exchanges are not like set up the way the NYSE or NASDAQ is, right? They buy, sell, hold for you, custody it there, all of that in one spot. And if you go with the traditional setup of exchanges, that's not how it happens, right? You're going to have an entity on the front that does the buy and sell. You're going to have the exchange that makes sure everything plugging into it has the proper price discovery and those things, right? And then you also have a different entity doing the custody on the back end as well. This is ensuring that you're not so centralized at the point of the exchange. You don't have wash trading, front running, and things like that happening to retail. Look, on that phase, at 51, I don't have a problem with that. Now, I'm not talking about DeFi. That's another conversation. I'm just talking about exchanges. There are certain points to this that I must admit that I agree that Gary Gensler's got it right on those fronts. The problem is because Gary Gensler sees himself as a hammer, then he sees everything on those exchanges, should they register with the SEC, as a nail. And I don't agree with that. And I certainly know that we've learned enough about Gary Gensler that we cannot trust him, period. He creates such a problem because he will not come out. Passive-aggressive people are never great leaders. Digital asset custody fund administration startup Polysign raises $53 million. Digital asset custody and fund administration startup Polysign raised $53 million in a Series C funding, including Cowen Digital, which has been there for quite a while now, and Brevin Howard. Now, listen, I want to say this because that's not all. There's other Polysign news too, and it's right here. They're also building fixed messaging, which really is cross-chain messaging, will allow trades in different assets to be seamlessly brought together. Well, now that's interesting. Understand that if you don't know and you're not aware, Polysign created by Arthur Brito and David Schwartz from Ripple, right? Co-creators of the XRP Ledger. So this is important to understand that. And listen, there's going to be more to hear from Polysign. Remember Jack McDonald, I think it was on Tony Edwards' Thinking Crypto show, who said by the end of 2022 and certainly into 2023, you're going to hear a lot more from them and everything that they're doing on an institutional level. I do want to remind people that I believe what we're really seeing here is we're seeing Polysign, Standard Trust, I believe it is, building the new settlement platform for the capital markets. It could be the new version of the DTCC. That's what I think. We'll see. Ripple's SBI system for XRP remittances renewed. On-demand liquidity volumes grow 9 times year over year. Look, we covered this yesterday, and I'm just touching on it very quickly here. ODL is where we're going. And remember, it's not just remittance and individual payment flows now. Now they're using it for treasury flows and larger payment loads. So keep that in mind. They're filling up the pool with liquidity, and we're going to talk about Ripple's buyback in just 1 second here. But there's great news here from Wrath Economy. It says Bank of China is a state-owned commercial bank headquartered in Beijing and the 4th largest bank in the world. How about that one? In July, they published a dossier about Ripple, and it seems fairly comprehensive overview with a number of swift comparisons. Now, it's in Mandarin, but you'll get it. It doesn't take long to get it. You move through this, Swift, Ripple, 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 when they were open coin, Ripple, right? All the Ripple ISO, you see it all in here. You don't have to know Mandarin to know what they're talking about here. 2020, SEC, Ripple, 21, Ripple, right? Ripple China. Look here. Now you get down into this and you start seeing Swift here in a second. Ripple, 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 Ripple all through it. Then we see here ODL, all the different versions in the early days. This is what we've graduated to, ODL now. And obviously RippleNet. Let's see. Moving down here, you'll see the Swift comparisons. Just a second. Ripple is all through this document here. Here we go. KYC, Swift, Ripple, Swift GPI, ISO 2022, 2022. You know, here's a comparison chart right here. If anybody speaks Mandarin, wants to help us understand exactly what this is saying, this is quite a document here, it would seem, right? R3 Corda, ladies and gentlemen, Quorum, JP Coin. We'd love to know what's going on here. But to go back really quickly, it reminded him and certainly myself all the way back from 2017. Welcome, Ripple, welcome China's central bank industry academic leaders to Ripple headquarters to discuss the latest blockchain trends, if you remember that. And I also remember when Yoshitaka Katal from SBI left the Ripple board to go to China to some, I think it was distributed ledger technology board or panel. I'm pretty sure somebody out here remembers like I do, but probably better than I do, in fact. But take a listen to this at what's going on here, because this is the moment we're in. And I know it feels like that, the United States is never going to quite catch the curve here. But, I believe because the United States is the largest economy in the world, that they are going to drop last on purpose. Now, I know that is glass half full, and I certainly want to see them do it sooner rather than later, just like the rest of you do. But, at the same time, I would think that you want to see the rest of the world get on board, get established, get all their regulation legislation in place, and then you could take the best of all of that and put it here in the largest economy in the world in such a way that hopefully, and I'm trying to remain positive here, that hopefully they get the kind of legislation with the light touch that the Telecommunications Act was for the birth of the internet and the explosion of that .com era right there. Take a listen to what this gentleman says at the Government Blockchain Association. Take a listen.
Best client was a man who called me one day and said, Jim, I'm going to unload everything. I want to sell everything. I'm going to put it into one thing, and that one thing is something I'm starting with some other friends. And I said, well, tell me what it is, Jim. And he said, well, it's something, I can't really describe it, but people talk out in outer space, and they can have chats, and they're not connected to like telephone wires or anything. They just talk out in the ether, and they can communicate like that. I couldn't get my mind around it, and so I never invested, even though he offered the opportunity. The guy's name was Jim Kimsey. He was a founder of what became America Online, became a billionaire, and here I am today. And that was when $1 billion amounted to something. I don't want to make that same mistake again. So I want to learn more about blockchain, and I think my colleagues and people in the government should do as well, and I think they're doing so, both in the public and the private sector. In the private sector, Goldman Sachs did identify cryptocurrency and, in fact, the blockchain technology as FinTech 3.0, if you will. They're serious about it. They're going to put their money where their mouth is as well. And this public sector, the federal government, is going to come out with a memo shortly. It's governed by the National Security Council, and that's, I think, where it should be. It is a security issue, a national security issue. DOD is one of the people that is one of the agencies that's most concerned. And what they're going to do is to recommend several things. They'll give guidance. It won't necessarily be an action memo, but it will be guidance. They're going to prioritize that all of the government, every agency needs to coordinate on this. They need to have one policy. They can't be going off on their own. They're going to, I suspect, suggest guidance for the Federal Reserve. Even though they can't control, really, the Federal Reserve, they're going to suggest guidance. I think the Federal Reserve will come up with a cryptocurrency of its own. It won't be retail, but it will be one that the Federal Reserve banks use.
And that's where I want to get us to right there. And I believe it too. I believe they're going to have a CBDC that'll be back end that we won't use. And I believe we'll have the USD coin, which I believe is the unofficial / official US digital dollar for retail consumption. That's what I believe. Maybe we'll see that adoption happen. Maybe not. I'll make the video if I'm wrong. But what we do know is he's right. Change is going to come. And you're going to see evidence of that right here. How about real use case? How about land registry? National Land Registry from Agencia Tierras. Remember we covered this in Colombia. On the XRP Ledger, they have begun to register title on the XRP Ledger, immutable. Come on in. This is going to take all the way across the globe right here eventually. I mean, think about this. I mean, just this use case alone is remarkable. And we're not even talking about cross-border payments. There are so many different applications of this that are going to unfold as we see regulatory clarity. Now, this is a pretty painful clip right here. This was Larry Fink back in the day when Libra was being discussed, and they're trying to talk about what needs to happen. And he's talking about really disrupting the FX market and coming up with an intermediary bridge token, but it ain't Libra. Take a quick listen here.
I mean, if you're going to launder money, it's been cash up to this point. So, I mean, Bitcoin is probably...
I looked at it. I'm still being charged at 3%. Terrible. Okay. So, and when you think about all the people who send money, you know, they may work in one country, send money back home. They generally do that through organizations that charge 5 to 10%. Yeah. There is a need, whether it's a Libra or something else, to democratize the exchange of foreign currencies. Today, with computers and electronic market,
there shouldn't be that.
It should be 10 basis points, 5 basis points.
That makes sense.
And you know what? And it can be, Larry Fink from BlackRock. It can be. It can be less than that, actually, if you use XRPLedger, the bridge currency, which is designed to do exactly what you're talking about. This is remarkable where we're going, ladies and gentlemen. Listen to this gentleman right here, who is the CCO from Zago, which is obviously a payments company in Africa, I believe it is. My memory serves me correctly here. And I think that it does. Yeah, I believe that it does. Zago is in Africa, I believe. And let's see. Yeah, Cape Town, I believe it was. So at any rate, listen to this very quick clip where it describes how XRP can work as a bridge and how, as more liquidity and collateral moves on to the XRP ledger, it can stabilize the price over time. Boy, I tell you, I've heard that before. Well, I wonder where we've heard that before. Oh, that's right. I talk about it all the time for years. Yeah.
You have to actually look at it in a slightly different way. A lot of people talk about volatility and the price of XRP goes up and down. So how would that be a bridge? But it goes up and down in relation to fiat currencies. So, for example, if you have the XRP price in relation to the US dollar and you have the XRP price in relation to the euro, what you have is three variables. You've got the US dollar going up and down, you've got the euro going up and down, and the XRP price going up and down. But they are both linked to XRP, meaning that XRP becomes the stable coin where the euro and the dollar is fluctuating. So it is that bridge to jump in between the currencies. So as you have multiple currencies around the world and all linked to this XRP ecosystem, you can have all the currencies in the world doing that, while XRP stays in the middle, actually as the stable monetary value in between.
And the reason it could be stable is because you could have the central banks of the world put up reserves from their locked up dormant capital in the Nostro accounts up to $25 trillion and unlock a percentage of that to back and buy the treasuries behind their dollars to represent the digital CBDC, moving that value onto the XRP ledger, creating an extremely stable value price for XRP. I have been saying it for many years. And now we see the CCO from Zago saying it well, Ripple partner. But take a look at this, because as all of that is realized, and we know we're there, I have been saying, I believe we may be seeing that turning point where their company Ripple has said time and time again, there will come a point when we pivot away from retail. I believe we are in that threshold as we speak. What we're not sure of is the ruling of the case, the SEC versus Ripple. Will that be a ruling that helps further pivot away from retail, making XRP possibly harder to get than it is today? We already have seen countless delistings of the asset itself for U.S. residents. So look at this right here. Ripple continues in the most recent release of the Q2 2022 report that they put out to buy back XRP off secondary market. They state they are solely engaged in selling to on-demand liquidity related businesses only. So the question is, where will retail exchanges get XRP? How long will it take to run out? And what will the price be when it does? Now, just to touch on some of this, if Ripple continues to do a buyback, I believe that's a part of the line of credit that they offer to the leasing of XRP for clients. But I also want to highlight the idea that this buyback could be because Ripple sees themselves as a customer in the use of XRP, just like anyone else does. So in my mind, what I imagine is that if that buyback's taking place, I don't see that buyback and that resale going back out to the secondary market. I think that buyback actually refunnels from the secondary exchanges, the retail exchanges you and I buy from, and that buyback takes it back into the ODL side of things. And ultimately, that's where this ends up, I think. I'm not married to it, but this is what it's looking like, ladies and gentlemen. And when you take a look at the network that we've got here that is connected, the integration team, the team that has been brought from day one and over the years to build out what Ripple has done with the market infrastructure and the kind of ties that it has to Ripple, whether we're talking about ties to the U.S. State Department or former presidential administrations or JPM Morgan Chase, G20 policymakers, Financial Stability Board, Morgan Stanley, Accenture, SBI, Standard Chartered, the Treasury, the list goes on. The Digital Euro Association, Digital Pound Foundation, the Federal Board of Governors, and FSOC, which will play a key role in the legislation for stablecoins when we get it, hopefully before the end of this year. What I see is the position and the narrative and the understanding from Ripple that XRP is money, not a security. Now, before we get out of here, understanding all the things that we've looked at today, the technical analysts are off with a vengeance. $100 XRP by the end of May 2023. I'm okay with it if that happens. I have no idea. But what this is here is adding the repeat fractal from 2017 bull run to where the price currently is today. And that is why he sees $100 here. That is why this gentleman here, Crypto Bull XRP, sees a $72, taking the exact fractal that took us from, 20 cents to 384, and moving that fractal on the chart to where we currently are. The thing that's showing to him is that we see these similarities setups, these touches before that moment happened, and seeing a similar of these touches on the trend line, suggesting that we could see a repeat of something like that again in the near term. But again, this would put us in the middle of 2023, according to his chart here. Now, looking at this is Egg Rag Crypto, who uses Fibonacci channel and Fibonacci circle charts, confluence targets of $13, $72, $179, $945, $2,255, and etc. And if you look at this, and don't lose the idea that we can see this channel between 46 and 10 cents touch, because look at where this is here. If you follow where this went, right, that's the bull run from 2017, 2018, right here. And then you look at where we've gone, we've come back, right? We're up here. This is where we are right now. Don't discount that we're in this channel, and there's a lot of support and resistance in this channel. In order for us to get out of this and make some of these other incredibly looking prices that I know we're all dying to see in our portfolios, we see that the projections for these higher targets are out here at 2028 or 2030, things like that. So it'll be exciting to see how all this unfolds. You guys know, I think, where I'm at on the matter when it comes to price. We have to have some legislation, some fundamental news that sets all of this off. A ruling or a settlement in the case that's favorable for Ripple and XRP, and certainly in XRP investors on the retail side. Look, that's going to do it for me. This is not financial advice from me or anyone else. It's just my digital perspectives. I hope you all have a great Saturday. I'll catch all of you on the next one.